Welcome. I'm Lars Sage, Gallery Manager of the Art Center of Estes Park. And this is the second of our series of interviews with a focus on abstract art. And I want to introduce Cynthia Reedy. Cynthia is a member of our board and is also vice president of our board. And I want to welcome you, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Now, how long have you lived in Estes Park?
I've been up here full time 25 years and spent summers here all my life. I was born and raised in Boulder.
Oh, so not too far away.
No, not too far away.
Yeah. So how did you get interested in art?
I come from a real artistic family,
Mm-hmm.
and it has always been a part of my life. Mother did a lot of fiber arts and knitting and needlework, and then later she did silk prints and silk screen and painting, and both of my sisters are artists, and one sister's daughter is an artist, so it's just everywhere.
Oh, wow.
We play together doing art.
Well, it sounds like
it
fun,
really
but
nice. It's really
kind of
nice.
inspirational in a sense.
It is, and you have instant critique at the ready.
Whether you want it or not.
Well, no, generally if you ask for it. But
So, according to you, because we're doing this focus on abstract art and we're getting different perspectives, what is your basis of abstract or experimental art?
well, I think that all art it rests on basically on the same principles, that you need to have good design, good composition, so that you have interesting large shapes. And it also rests with color harmony, so that you don't have colors that don't go together, colors that clash.
Mm-hmm.
And realistic art, abstract art are all based on those same principles with color theory and composition and design. So it's just a little bit different when you're doing a completely unstructured piece of art, which you don't know. I'll start something and I'll have one idea at a time. I have no idea how it's going to end up.
Mm-hmm.
But as I go, I look at it and say, the next thing that would be good on this piece is, and then I do that. And it goes that way, one step at a time with the abstract art. With realistic, you know where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes it fun for me, actually.
Well, we certainly have an example of what you're talking about as far as your composition and colors and so forth, and certainly a nice variety of design and so forth.
I love the mixed media,
Mm-hmm.
where you can use all kinds of items in the art. But this big one is the same principle. It's a cruciform design, which essentially is a cross-like design,
Mm-hmm.
which allows the eye to move through the painting. And it has a focal point, a center of interest that's not in the center of the painting.
Mm-hmm.
And it generally, that's a real popular kind of design and one that really appeals to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be the same thing if I were doing a realistic painting. I would want to use my colors and my shapes so that the eye would move through the painting and not have anything pointing it out of the picture plane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, what's the best medium for abstract art then?
For me, it's acrylic, because once you lay down a layer of paint, it stays there when it's dry.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike watercolor, where if I put a layer of watercolor over another layer of watercolor, it'd be easy to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And with acrylic, I can put a second layer down and even scrape it off so the first layer shows through and the first layer stays there. So it gives you a lot of room to play.
Yeah, it looks like you've been having some fun.
Yes, I really have.
Well, to you, then, what is the difference between abstract art and realistic art then?
Well, I think that abstract art is more about color. It's more spontaneous. For me, it's a lot more fun. Now, I know a lot of artists who say they just agonize over their abstract pieces. And I think, well, I don't know why that is. We're all different in what comes most easily to us. And perhaps they try to see the end product while they're in the process, and you just can't exercise that control over abstract art. So you have to be willing to let it unfold. And that is part of the joy of it. It doesn't always work, but then neither does realistic always work. You know, we all have our failures. We just try not to share them with the world.
I got to, I guess that's from talking to other people who do abstract art that it kind of, as it develops, it kind of speaks to you where it needs to go. Is that
Right.
kind of the same for you?
And well, as I said, it seems to be one thing at a time. When I've got something down, I will look at it, and at some point I'll say, oh, this is what it needs here. This would be good. And then, so it all develops. I suppose that makes it develop in a sort of harmonious way. But that's also about the design, because I know, because I've painted long enough, when I think, oh, this would look good here, that it's part of comprehensive design. I don't have to stop and think, okay, what is the design I'm using, because it's just inbred at this point, because I've been doing it that long. And the same with the color harmony.
So how long have you been painting?
I started in the 70s. Then years and years of graduate school really put the kibosh on that. And then I painted later when I worked, but mostly retirement has been a joy of enough time to paint.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
It's the best job I've ever had.
So, unlike a lot of artists, you seem to work in many different styles of art. Why is that?
I do, and I think I know I've heard a lot of people say, oh, you need to do one style and stay with it so people will see your art and say, oh, that is Cynthia's art. But I can't imagine spending my entire life painting just landscapes, because I like the variety. I like the variety in the subject matter. I like the variety in the materials. I also do scratch board. Right now I'm making handmade journals. So I make my own journals. I do stained glass. A different thing will appeal to me at a different time. So I like the variety, and it keeps me from being bored. And of course, I have, on the theory that you can't own too many art supplies, I have a serious storage problem, not just with inventory, but with supplies. But that's okay. So it's just the variety that I really like.
Well, I also like to add one other element that we may not realize, that you're an author as well.
Oh, that's right. I am. I'm a publisher shopping right now for my first book, which is well, not counting that one, is a young adult historical romance. I'm in the middle of writing a contemporary mystery, so I'll be publisher shopping for that soon. So that is something that I started when both of my parents were quite ill. And so I was working at the same time, and I found that everything was going out. Nothing was coming in. And so I started writing, and that really felt like that the gratification was coming in to me at a time when I needed something to fill me up because of all that was going out. So that was, I was 48, so that's embarrassingly long ago, 20 some years. But I enjoy that. And I'm a real spurt worker. I will do acrylics, I will do abstract for a while, and I will write for a while, and I'm not one of those people that will work 8 or 12 hours straight. I'll work and then I have to break and do something else, even if it's wash the dishes, but that works out really well for me. And of course I haven't got as much discipline as I should, particularly with the writing. But then with the writing, you don't have to deal with walls full of inventory that you don't know where you're going to store while the galleries are closed for the pandemic. So I'm very glad to see both my galleries are open now, if on a somewhat limited basis.
Where else do you show?
Madison and Main Gallery in Greeley.
Really? Okay.
Sweet little gallery.
I've heard it is.
Yes, it really is nice.
Someday maybe get to visit it, so
Yes,
check it out.
that's good.
Well, thank you, Cynthia. We appreciate your sharing your views about abstract art in this interview. And we certainly like to invite the public to come and visit our art gallery and see all the different works that we do have. If anything we can say is that we have a lot of talented artists with very different perspectives, and it's up to you to come and enjoy. Thank you.